welcome to Inkquiring Minds. My name is Doug and I'm back with another Pen Resurrection Sunday video. Today I have something very interesting. I'm hoping that it won't take much of a restoration because it almost looks new in box, new old stock. This pen was donated to the channel by Janet Tratt. Thank you very much, Janet, for your generous donation of this fountain pen set, which I'm going to look at today. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, polish it up, see if it writes, and talk about some of its unique features. I'm hoping that I don't have to take this pen apart because, according to my pen repair manual, it's not an easy task to do, but hopefully I don't have to do that. Some of you may already recognize this pen case because I showcased it on my live stream just a few days ago. This is a Waterman CF. Here's the original box. This is a ballpoint pen, or could be a Waterman's version of the liquid lead pencil. And this is a fountain pen. Underneath we have the original documentation that came with this pen, a manual from Waterman's CF, famous cartridge-filled fountain pen. Waterman was the first creator of the Cartridge pen. This pen was developed by Waterman in 1955 and stopped production in 1958 when the company was sold to Bic. Yes, that's Bic Pens of France. Waterman's now belongs to Newell Brands. This original manual talks about the cartridge-filled fountain pen, a variety of points available, how to replace the cap and the cartridges, and the convertible ballpoint. So there's a diagram of the convertible ballpoint. They call it convertible because you can have an ink cartridge ballpoint, or you can have the fluid lead, what they call fluid lead cartridge, which was a liquid lead kind of pencil. And this is when Waterman was in Connecticut. In 1958, they moved to France. You can always write better with Waterman. Interesting original manual there, and a business reply envelope for requesting refills. Please check your local dealer first. If he cannot supply you with the CF refill cartridges, use this convenient order envelope and we'll rush refills out the day we receive your order. I doubt that that's going to work because the cartridges, which there are 8 original cartridges right here in a box that has not been opened. So this ink is intact. I'm not going to open this because we're going to look at the pen itself. Let's put all this stuff back together again. Let's look at this pen for a moment. And here is the Waterman CF. It has the typical Waterman split clip, nicely angled top finial, chrome cap, gold-plated clip, a plastic resin barrel, and a metal end finial. Very slim pen. Interesting thing is it's stamped on the barrel CF 1250 Fine Flex 1250 KK1. I'm not sure what the KK1 is, but certainly the 1250 is the price. Back in the day, they used to put the price right on the barrel. Sometimes they engraved it. Schaefer engraved some of their pricing on the barrels of their 1930s and 40s pens. Very interesting. And that is silk screened on there. So any polishing might remove that. I mentioned that this pen might be new old stock. I'm not sure whether it's ever been inked. We take the cap off and we see the very interesting section. Very Art Deco looking with its plastic and chrome and a 14 karat gold semi-inlaid nib. This is the part that's difficult to take apart. So I'm hoping this pen works. I believe it does because it doesn't show any signs of having been inked before. And the big deal about this pen in 1955 was the cartridge, the replaceable ink cartridge. Now this one, let's take it out. This one is the one that comes with the pen, and it says lift box tab, refills under the tab. So there are refills, but you can't get these anymore. Very difficult to get. So instead of opening this box, I think I'll leave that for whoever wants to own this beautiful new old stock set. I'm going to fill this cartridge with a syringe with, you guessed it, Waterman Serenity Blue. So we're going to keep the Waterman family together. We're going to fill this demo cartridge with ink, and we'll see whether it leaks or not. This little metal crimped end feels like it might want to come off. It's kind of wiggly. So if that's the case, then I might actually have to get into one of these cartridges to get one of them out so I can refill it. But with 8 cartridges, you'll be able to use this pen for a long, long time by refilling the cartridges. You don't need to find Waterman CF cartridges anywhere. I've seen them on eBay. They're not inexpensive, so I would suggest refilling. But we'll see whether this holds any ink. If it does, then we can use this. The little red tip has this tiny little opening that goes into the cartridge piercer right there, and there seems to be some remnants of ink right there. So what I'm going to do before we try any ink with this pen, let's try to post it first. See how it posts. Wow, that posts beautifully. Feels like almost like a Parker 45 in my hand. And we're going to examine this nib. It looks like it's in completely original shape. It needs some buffing and polishing, so I'm going to polish up that gold. We're not going to take this apart. And then we're going to dip test it first to see how it writes. And then we'll get after this cartridge issue and see whether that cartridge can be used with this pen. And of course, a really nice snap cap and a fairly stiff clip. Let's take a look at the ballpoint for a second. It has the same markings on the barrel. Only this one is $5. It's the SR500, $5 KK1. If any of you Waterman aficionados out there know what that KK1 means, please let me know in the comments below. You give it a twist and the ballpoint comes out. This cartridge is empty right now. Give it a twist and it closes again. You pull the cap off. There's an eraser, never been used. And you unscrew that eraser and you tap out the replacement cartridge. Now I'm going to look around to see whether there is a cartridge that will retrofit into this pen. I doubt you can find one of these Waterman replacements anywhere. It has this little flare at the back that I think meets up with this inside when you screw that down. Because this doesn't screw in, it just drops in, and then this screws in on top. And then the mechanism works. So the replacement ballpoint needs to be the same length as this one. So I'm going to go to my stationery store and see what I can find that's similar to that maybe we can retrofit into this ballpoint. But first up, I'm going to put this in some pen flush in the ultrasonic bath and see if there's any extraneous ink that comes out of it. Then we'll look to dip test with that nib. And if it writes beautifully, we'll polish it up and see how it comes up. It should, because it's 14 karat gold, should come up beautifully. So there was no ink whatsoever in this pen when I cleaned it out in the ultrasonic bath. The pen is either new old stock or it's just never been used. So let's open up some Waterman's Serenity and dip test this nib, see what we have. There's no markings on the nib as to what its size is, but so let's call this a circa 1955. Well, obviously to 1958. Oh, I almost put Serenity. Waterman's CF. This is a fine nib. 14 karat gold. And the ink, of course, is Waterman's Serenity Blue. Writes very, very nicely. I'm guessing this is 0.4 to 0.5. I'll measure that later. There's a little bit of bounce out of that semi-inlaid nib. That's very interesting. And let's check the wetness. And it's nicely wet. It has feedback in all directions, and with no pressure, it writes a very fine line. Again, I'm going to rinse that nib out again, and we're going to polish it up. And I'll put it on this side here, unpolished, so we can put the polished side on the other side of the screen. Sorry for the audio quality. Previously, I didn't have my mic actually attached to my shirt. But the next thing we need to do is see whether this, I think it was a dummy cartridge, just a filler. I'm not sure because I haven't opened this box, so I don't know whether they all have the red tip and the metal end on them. But let's see whether this holds ink or not. I'm going to syringe fill some ink into that cartridge and we'll see whether it holds ink. I'm just going to put it on some tissue here, just in case. Put some Waterman Serenity in there and just fill it up to the red tip. Seems to be holding so far. Put it into the pen and give it a twist. And I'm just going to leave the pen point down for a while. And we'll check the barrel to make sure it's not leaking right there where it attaches or leaking back on the back of the cartridge. Now I'm going to leave it point down for about 15-20 minutes, something like that. Well, I've left this point down for about 20 minutes and there's no signs of leaking here or back here, but ink is flowing and it's flowing very nicely. Yep, a very nice writer. Let's polish up that nib. So here's the fountain pen all shined up. I put my jeweler's polishing cloth on the gold trim of that clip and it looks great. And it says Waterman's on the cap right there and made in the USA. And just polishing with a regular polisher cloth, it's starting to fade that silk screen on there, so that's eventually just going to wear off if you polish the pen. I polished up the nib as well. I'm going to put it on this side so you can see the difference. On the left side is pre-polish and on the right side is after some jeweler's polishing cloth. A little bit of polishing compound on the section. There was no marks or anything on that section, and I've been using this for several hours with the dummy cartridge inside, just syringe filled with Waterman Serenity, and it's working great. So I'd say the fountain pen is complete. And I went out to my local Staples stationery store and bought a sort of generic replacement ballpoint refill, which looks like it's the right thickness. Here's the one that came with the Waterman, and it has this flared end on it, and of course it's much longer. So I took the little blue piece off here, and it's still much longer. So I marked it and then cut it off so it's about the same length. And we put that in the pen, close down the eraser on the tip, which just holds that in place, and it works. Now it doesn't retract like it used to, but when you've got the ballpoint in the pen, it works perfectly. There we go. And in the instruction booklet, it says, take out empty cartridge, then place the red tipped end of full cartridge in the pinpoint section with a slight turning motion. So that means these cartridges, which are sealed, have those red tips on it. So it isn't just a dummy cartridge that's in the fountain pen, and you can refill that fountain pen as many times as you want. So what are my thoughts about this pen? Well, I can't call it a resurrection, can I? The pen is basically new from 1955 to 1958. The price still on it, which we call it a pen, not a restoration. Call it a pen rejuvenation then. I thought this was going to be very, very simple, and it ended up being fairly simple until the very end when I was polishing the nib, and I wrote with it a little bit, as you saw in the writing sample, and I decided, well, the nib tines were still a little bit out of alignment, and so I decided to go and align them a little bit more, and the more I tried, the more it wouldn't align, and so I spent about an hour and getting my fingers very inky, but now it's back into alignment again and writing very nicely. And the ballpoint works now as well with that refill that I cut off to be the same length as the original. It works. It's functional. When you twist it to extend it, it works perfectly. When you twist it to not extend it, it just falls back in. So that's one of the things about not having the original cartridge for it, but I'm sure that won't be a problem for people who love vintage ballpoints. And I'm really glad that this empty cartridge was refillable and does not leak. It doesn't leak anywhere. The pen works nicely, And so we don't have to get into this original box of 8 cartridges here. This can be a working, functional, vintage pen from Waterman, the Waterman CF. And I want to thank Janet Tratt again for her generosity in donating this beautiful set to my channel. And one of you is going to be lucky enough to purchase this. I've decided to sell it for $80 US, which is about the going rate for a pristine Waterman CF from 1955 to 1958. So if you're interested in purchasing this set, please drop me a line at inkquiringminds@gmail.com with your name and your address so I can get you a shipping quote. Shipping to North America is around $10. This pen was made in the USA, not in France, so you won't be hit by any tariffs. And when you send me your email, I'll also give you instructions on how to purchase it via my PayPal. And there you have it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And you can join as a member of my channel as well for only 99 cents a month, and you'll get cool emojis, badges, sneak peek unboxing videos, as well as instant access to my videos the moment I post them. So you get a leg up on everyone to purchase the vintage fountain pens. And that just leaves it for me to say thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.
I made this.